Hi, how are you? Hope you're well. So today I'm here to start a very important video. If you don't know, The Love Hypothesis is one of my favorite rom-coms ever written. I love that book. I've read it at least 3 or 4 times at this point. I have a reading vlog out of me rereading it, I think last year or the year before. It's linked down below if you're interested. And I used to love Ali Hazelwood a lot. Love on the Brain, I really enjoyed the first time I read it, and then I started rereading it and I wasn't in the mood for it, but I forced myself to finish it, which I shouldn't have done. And so because of that, it's really iffy, and realistically I need to reread it to figure out my feelings on it, but because I just associated with forced reading now, I don't want to. Love, theoretically, I really enjoyed. Bride, I loved. It was so much fun except for some werewolf knowledge that I didn't need to know. Will be skipping that in the sequel. But I really loved all of her work. Check and Mate was fun too. I really am not a YA romance reader at all, which is funny considering I wrote a YA romance, but all of her books I really enjoyed to some extent. And then Not in Love came out. And I hated that one. I made a reading vlog for it. I will link it down below. I gave it a very low star though, spoilers, and it just didn't click with me. That was her first book going into more of an erotica type of genre, which that's not me. That's not my thing. If it's your thing, that's fine. I don't think that it's a bad genre by any means. It's just not a genre that I ever enjoy or ever really pick up. I've accidentally picked up a few, such as Not in Love, and just didn't work for me. But that really ruined it for me. And it got to the point where I lost all faith in her. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I like her anymore, which is so sad because she wrote one of my favorite rom-coms ever. And so I wasn't going to read her newest release, Deep End, until I decided I'm going to. Because I need to know, was Not in Love a dud? Does she still have what? Because Not in Love, there were no aspects of it that I enjoyed. Truly, I know that's harsh, but truly there was not an aspect of it that I enjoyed. So I needed to know, was that book a dud, or did she just lose everything that I loved about her? And so I decided to pick up Deep End because I need to know. If it's just that she's writing more smut, I could possibly handle that. If it's just the more erotica genre parts that I don't like, I can skip that. I can skim it. It's fine. But if it's her entire writing style and her stories, don't know how I'll cope. So I need to know for certain if I still like her or not, and that's what this video is going to be. So yeah, wish me luck. So I've officially reached the 28% mark, which is 3 hours and 51 minutes into the audiobook. And so far, I'm actually really enjoying it. We are very close to having a spicy scene. I would be very shocked if it wasn't in the next one or the one after that. So I am quite scared for that, but so far this book is reminding me the reasons why I love Ali Hazelwood's writing so much. It's so incredibly fun and easy. The last 4 hours have been just genuinely very pleasant while I'm painting my nails and listening to this. So I'm really hoping that this book is a turning point in the positive way, and so far it's looking good, but again, only 20% the way in, so I guess we will have to see. So I just finished chapter 28, which is at 5 hours and 41 minutes. And by finished, I mean I skipped it because this was the second sex scene and I skipped both. I was hoping that I wouldn't be as just turned off, but the vocabulary that she uses just gets worse and worse every book. And like, I'm genuinely not trying to be a prude or anything. I just it grosses me out so much. Maybe I just can't listen to her books anymore. Maybe physically reading them would be better. I can't do it anymore, which really sucks because before this and the previous chapter, so let's check for a quick second. So at the 5 hour mark, which was 37% into the book, I genuinely was enjoying this book a lot, but now I'm not, because it doesn't click with me and the spice just doesn't work for me, and I don't know what to do because I enjoy her writing. It's just I think I skip 20% of her book every time these days. So I don't know, this video started off well and now is dipping and it's not looking good. Hi. So I finished Deep End. So as you know, I read this in the hopes that I would figure out where I stand with Ali Hazelwood, and I'm afraid I'm just as uncertain as I was before starting this. I did end up giving this novel 3.5 stars, and that is because I do still truly love Ali Hazelwood's writing style. Does she write the same thing every single book but just slightly different? Yes, there's a reason she's so popular. There's a reason why her formula works. There's just something about her book that feels very nostalgic to reading fan fiction on Wattpad, and I mean that as a compliment, because sometimes you want to return to the things that you loved but have it be geared toward you as an older person, and I feel like she does that perfectly. She has the silliness and the goofiness, but then also it's not nearly as bad as going back in time as it would be to just pick up what you were reading back then on Wattpad, probably, if that makes sense. Her writing and her characters are fun and unique and enjoyable to follow. As I said, she has a formula that she does with every single book, and it works so incredibly well. There's usually plot and the romance, and both are interesting to follow, and especially because it's almost always women it's always a woman in STEM, and that's just so fun to follow, because who doesn't love a smart, funny, incredibly intellectual woman? You know what I mean? Both the main characters in this book were very sweet, and I enjoyed them, both independently and together. I thought they were great characters. And even though the spice was not for me in this book, in most of her books realistically, I really enjoyed that the spice played into their relationship in terms of it was very largely the basis of their trust, and it helped explain why they trust each other so quickly, because they do this very, very intimate thing together. I don't think I can say that on YouTube without getting banned, but this spice is very spicy. They are into certain things. Those things require a lot of trust that then bleeds into their friendship and eventual relationship, which I really enjoyed watching that, because it made sense to me, seeing how, oh, you've only known him for so long, but you trust him this much, and it's like, no wonder. You're doing this incredibly, like, intimate thing with him. It makes sense. However, I do have to agree with the masses on this one point. The whole Penelope Penn drama was so incredibly irritating, especially at the end. I felt it was a bit needless, but you know what? We got through it, so that's the most important part. As I mentioned in the intro, the problem for me with her latest releases is that she's experimenting a lot with them in terms of the spice, and so rather than rom-coms, it does feel like I'm picking up erotica novels, which again is not a bad thing, but that is not a genre that interests me or that I enjoy, which is a problem, as I'm sure you can understand. It's very bothersome because usually as soon as a spicy scene comes on, I want to scream and rip my hair out, and especially the vocabulary that she uses just is not for me. In this book, what the FMC called her, it didn't work for me. It's just, the vocab that she uses is awful, quite frankly. I'm just gonna be very honest with you. The vocab she uses is awful and off-putting, and it makes me want to pull my hair out and scream. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you just skip it? I do. But the problem is, I listen to most of her books. I listen to the audio novels most of the time because I enjoy consuming her content that way the most. There are only a few books, I think Bride, that I prefer physically reading. Even the Love Hypothesis, I prefer listening to it. She's just a listening author to me. And so, as you're probably well aware if you watch this channel regularly, I listen to most of my audiobooks when I'm busy, when I'm doing work that doesn't necessarily require me to think, when I'm cleaning, making the bed, getting ready in the morning, cooking, doing the laundry. That's when I'm listening to my audiobooks, and how I manage to listen to so much a day. But because I'm busy a lot of the time, I'm in the middle of something, and so it happens, and I have to try and pause it like this because I'm folding the laundry and I won't pause. Then I have to put it away and then go. And so I've already experienced some of it. I've already heard the vocab that I find repulsive. And so it is just a catch-22, and sometimes I will physically read her books. Mate, that is coming out in October, I will be physically reading that one. I won't be listening to the audio, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm still exposed to it. And a lot of the times, like, why don't you skip it? Well, I need to be reading to know if I should skip it, if that makes sense. It is just a struggle where it's like, I can't entirely avoid it. I will have to read or listen to it at some point somehow, whether on purpose to try and figure out if I need to skip or on accident because I'm not available to skip at that exact moment. So that is an issue. But I'm also aware that that is a me problem. I do still stand by the fact that I absolutely hated Not in Love. To me, that was just a bad book. However, Deep End did show me that I do still enjoy Ali Hazelwood's writing, because everything excluding the spy scenes, I really, really enjoyed it, to the point where I almost thought I was going to give it a 4 stars. Don't know if I mentioned this, but this is a 3.5. I think I'm just not as a stan of her anymore. I don't think every book's going to be a hit like it used to. There are going to be some that are duds for me, especially if she continues into the genre shift as she has with the most recent releases. And so I do think it's on me at this point. After Deep End, I've accepted that if I'm going to read her work, there's going to be a lot of spy scenes that I'm not a fan of, and that's something that I'm going to need to get over, and I'm just going to have to skip it. And am I going to like it? No, but at least I'm aware that I'm not going to like it going into it, and I can try not to let it affect my opinion too much, as I did with this novel. I do unfortunately think that that means I won't really ever have favorites by her again, aside from the few that I already have, but that's okay because she's just moving in a direction that's not for me. But I do still enjoy her work, and I'm definitely going to continue on reading her new releases and keeping up with her, because there's just something magical about her books, despite the fact that I'm not her biggest fan anymore. At the end of the day, at least I can always reread The Love Hypothesis and Love Theoretically, and if I can get over it, even Love on the Brain, if I do miss her original just simple rom-coms. Even though Love on the Brain was a bit unhinged by the end. So am I still an Ali Hazelwood fan? Yes. Yes, I am. She's just not my favorite author anymore, and that's okay. And like I said, I'm going to be keeping up with her new releases. I will be reading Mate, and I'm excited for that one because I love Bride. I might even be rereading Bride before it comes out. So this video at least ends positively. I'm comfortable where I stand with her. I'm happy that I think Deep End was a very good indication, and if she ever goes back to her older types of writing for a novel or two, very exciting news for me. And if she doesn't, she doesn't, and that's fine. I really appreciate the fact that she gives the disclaimers at the beginning of her previous books. Knowing that has really helped me get into the correct mindset, knowing, oh, so this book is going to be a genre shift in a way I don't like, so I can be prepped for that mentally. So I really appreciate that, and overall I think we're good. So yeah, if you read Deep End, please let me know what you thought of it. I would love to know. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.